Welcome back to Thimbleberry U. I am John Jagay. 2021 is fast approaching, and it cannot come here soon enough. Amy Walls joins me as always. Last year we talked about to-do items that are important to get on the to-do list each year. This year we're talking about goal setting. Makes sense because it's New Year's resolution time. Amy, welcome, and what are the key areas that people need to think about as they set their goals for 2021?
Jag, it's a great question. Let me start by asking you this. Do you have a goal for 2021?
You know, I know this is a little short-sighted, but it's what's right in front of me. My goal is to survive the last several months of this pandemic and just that hopefully get back to normal by the middle of 2021. I just want to be over COVID as a society. That's like the one thing I can think about for 2021.
All right. Well, I'm going to say that is more of a wish and a desire. And so it's the exact reason that we're going to focus on goals today.
Okay.
Really, Jag, a goal needs to be something that resonates with you. I totally get where you're coming from on COVID. I think most of the world and Americans definitely are with you. But a goal needs to be SMART. You may have heard this term along the way. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound.
I feel like 2020 is the year of the acronym. We had the CARES Act. We had the MORE Act that just passed the House of Representatives. So we have one more acronym in SMART. But I like this. What else about a SMART goal?
Goals should be in writing. They need to have an action plan. And you need to be prepared to keep working that plan, even if you're not initially getting the results you want.
Okay, so we'll start at the beginning of this list. The first thing you said before we got to the acronym is that the goal needs to resonate. I would think that would be kind of an obvious place to start, right?
Well, I'm going to give you my favorite words, and that's it depends.
Okay.
It's probably fairly obvious that if you're going to set a goal, it should be something that's important to you. Mm-hmm. But that is sometimes harder to put into practice. Let's say, for example, you and your wife agree that you need to build a bigger cash reserve, but you don't agree on the size or maybe even the reason why.
Okay. And
your view is the amount that you need is less than her view of what that amount is.
Have you been listening in on our conversations?
No, I just heard enough stories from you about how the two of you address these things.
Okay, fair enough.
So you might agree, right, on a number, and that's more than what you want. Maybe it's less than what she wants, or maybe you go along with the number she wants. But unless you truly get on board and have a reason that resonates with you, you will likely self-sabotage on that goal.
That's a really good point. I go back to my time as a radio DJ in a former life, and the idea behind anything that we did on the air was it has to make an emotional connection with the listener, whether it makes them laugh or cry or it gets them thinking. It has to resonate with them, and that just goes to what you're saying here is for anything to resonate, it has to make that connection. So I love that idea that if you don't emotionally connect to the goal, like you said, it's going to self-sabotage. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Amy, how does someone make sure their goals are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound?
It sounds easier than it is. So let's use this example since, we're talking finances, but this applies to any area of your life. Let's use this example that you want to increase your cash reserve by $15,000 over the course of the year.
Okay,
this is going to be easier for some people than for others. For some, it's going to be hard because of their income to expense ratio.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that someone has already been saving a lot. It's just earmarked for other purposes.
Sure.
For other people, it might be difficult because of inconsistent income, such as bonus or equity compensation that we've talked about in many episodes. There's also other reasons, but those are three that just come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if we use this example and we want to be specific, this is probably the easy part. I will save $15,000 additional into my cash reserves.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. We've given a concrete number. We've said what we're going to do with it. Now we need to make it measurable. I have $40,000 in my cash reserves at the end of 2020. Therefore, I will have met this goal when I have $55,000.
Measurable. Got it.
Okay. So you have to know where you're starting so that you know when you've actually hit the goal. Then it needs to be attainable. This really means, is the goal achievable or not? And I think in this, you have to define how.
Sure.
So thinking through this, if your income is $3,000 monthly and you need to save $1,250 a month to get to that $15,000. That might be difficult if you need to pay for where you live, your food, and your other expenses.
Sure.
If you have no expenses, that's probably pretty easy. So to be attainable, you need to look at that and say, can I do this? So I'm going to reduce my grocery and entertainment bills by $500 monthly, and will save that towards this goal. And I will save $9,000 from my February employee stock purchase plan payout. Okay, that's attainable for some people, right? You have to work through it. But I'm reducing my tax withholdings because I consistently get a $6,000 tax refund each year. I'll save this year's refund from 2020. The $500 monthly I'll have from adjusting my withholdings. So that's $12,000. And I'm going to cut my dining expenses by $400 monthly. So I will use $250 of that towards this goal.
You've set the goal, you've made it attainable by breaking it down and doing the math to figure out how you're going to get there.
Exactly. And then relevant is really similar to does it resonate with you? But resonate is more about your personal why. The relevant is does this align with your life and the direction you want your life to go?
Sure, okay.
I'll share this. About 16 years ago, when I was a new advisor, I knew I'd get my certified financial planning designation. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was a manager supervising about 15 advisors and working about 80 hours a week. My life was crazy.
Yeah.
I think I'd just gotten my dog. Anyway, I didn't have much time on my hands. And the firm I worked for came to me and said, hey, it's time for you to enroll in CFP classes. But my supervisor had told me in a different conversation, had told me I had permission to fail at something. And I don't fail at things easily or regularly.
Right. That's a hard thing to get your head around for most people, I would think.
The goal was given to me. It did align with my life and my goals, but it didn't align with where I was in that exact moment.
So you failed at the CFP?
I purposefully failed my classes because I did not have time to take them. So it aligned, it just didn't align then.
Wow, okay.
And then the last piece is time bound. So saying I will do this by the end of the year, yes, is time bound, but it gives you enough room that you have some wiggle room to forget about the goal. So some alternatives might be I will save $1,250 each month in 2021, so I have met the goal by December. Mm-hmm. I will save my ESPP, employee stock purchase plan payouts in 2021 towards this goal. I will not use that money for enter whatever you want, adventure, hobbies, fun, as I normally do.
So, Amy, I've had New Year's resolutions before. So one of them was, go to the gym 150 times this year, whether, back in the days when there were such things as gyms and we could go to them. And I've failed at so many resolutions, whether it's the gym or losing weight or the list goes on and on and on. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have similar experiences. Tell me why it's important to set these SMART goals, but also to put them in writing.
Having goals written down changes how we act. So I could totally geek out on this, but I'm going to try not to. It's really all about neuroscience.
Okay.
Mark Murphy found in his study, The Gender Gap in Goal Setting, that people who have vividly written down their goals are 1.2 to 1.4 times more likely to accomplish those goals or their goals. But sadly, less than 20% of people report always doing this. And you missed the air quotes there on the always. And I'm included in that group. So I'm sitting here talking about that, but I don't always write my goals down vividly. Some of them are, but some are not.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the neuroscience and the brain chemistry piece of this whole thing.
What I'll share is a brief description directly from the article by Murphy that was published in Forbes. And we can link it in the show notes. Murphy said, quote, writing things down happens on two levels: external storage and encoding. External storage is easy to explain. You're storing the information contained in your goal in a location, e.g. a piece of paper, that is very easy to access and review at any time. You could post that paper in your office, on your refrigerator, etc. It doesn't take a neuroscientist to know you will remember something much better if you're staring at a visual cue, aka reminder, every single day. Mm-hmm. But there's another deeper phenomenon happening: encoding. Encoding is a biological process by which the things we perceive travel to our brain's hippocampus, where they're analyzed. From there, decisions are made about what gets stored in our long-term memory and, in turn, what gets discarded. Writing improves that encoding process. In other words, when you write it down, it has a much greater chance of being remembered.
I like that. Probably explains why I can remember certain nights out in college, but I can't remember what I was looking for when I opened the fridge.
Mm-hmm. For me, I can often, if I write notes versus type notes, I can remember them much better. And I almost think of it almost like a pseudo photographic memory. And, this neuroscience, this encoding explains that.
It really does. I think about when I usually am on a phone call with a client or somebody, I'll write notes down on a legal pad, and then I'll transpose them to a document I can access on my computer later. Part of it's because I can't read my own writing and I have to do it while it's fresh in my mind. But also I'm now putting that information down twice, and the physical act of writing it and then the physical act of typing it certainly helps. So that's really interesting, the science there. But let's talk about the action plan. And is this where people get stuck, and how can they fight through that?
So if you've done a good job on the SMART part of your goal, your action plan is likely sorted out already.
Okay.
Now it's to program reminders and have accountability. So keep that vivid written description of your goal in front of you. Put it as a reminder in your calendar that this is, when you need to do certain things to reach that.
Sure.
And then use a friend, or if it's a financial goal, find an advisor if you don't have one, or talk to your advisor about what this goal is that you want to set. I think an advisor, being one, of course, is good on two levels. One, they can ensure your financial goals are what you actually need.
Mm-hmm.
It happens where people approach us about the issue that they've identified as an issue, the thing they want to do, the thing they want to fix. But from our view and analysis, that's not actually the thing that needs to be fixed.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's the thing that resonates with them first because it's probably what they understand most and feel they have most control over, but it may not be the most important thing for them to do.
Got it. Okay.
And then second, an advisor can hold you accountable and should be able to see opportunities that you may not.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy because you are able to have perspective and see the bigger picture that sometimes a client isn't able to, but also there is that accountability of, I know, for example, if I were working with you, it'd be a lot easier to stick to something, say, oh, well, I have a meeting with Amy this week or this month, and, she's going to ask me if I did this, and it just that extra layer of accountability as opposed to, oh, well, letting yourself off the hook when there's nobody else you're responsible to.
Absolutely.
Well, with that in mind, Amy, if somebody wants to talk to you about their end of the year and into 2021 goals or anything related to their finances, what are the best ways to reach you at Thimbleberry?
Yes, they can contact us through our website, www.thimbleberryfinancial.com, or give us a call at 503-610-6510.
Awesome. Great stuff, Amy Walls. Have a happy new year and a happy holiday, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too, Jag. Thanks.
Registered representative. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisor representative. Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated.